Hi, good morning everyone. Happy holiday if you are in Indonesia. Buku nomor ke-6 judulnya A Culture of Safety. A very short booklet. Ditulisnya bahkan 30 menit bisa selesaiin baca buku ini. But this book is really good, especially if you are people managers, design managers, research managers. Gua sama tim gua, managers gua selesain bareng-bareng buku ini karena it's a very interesting book. So the book is about, the subtitle is Building a Work Environment where People Can Think, Collaborate, and Innovate. So si penulisnya Ala Weinberg itu sebenarnya backgroundnya desain juga. Dia salah satu design leader, used to be a design leader in the US, dan dia juga salah satu orang yang bikin studio namanya Design Department. Studio ini banyak memberikan kelas-kelas atau courses atau workshop tentang design leadership. Jadi makanya isinya menurut gua walaupun sangat umum, tapi mungkin dia come up with all of those insight dari pengalaman dia sebelumnya jadi design managers. Nah, karena pendek banget, cuman ada berapa chapter ya nih? It's very short. Cuman ada 6 chapter dan and it's very short. Jadi intinya tentang tadi gimana membuat culture of safety. Jadi si LD Ala Weinberg ini mendefinisikan bahwa ada 3 macam safety yang perlu kita bikin kalau kita itu seorang people manager atau design manager. Yang pertama, physical safety, jadi kemampuan untuk acknowledge bahwa seseorang itu ada, seseorang itu didengar, seseorang itu keberadaannya itu kita acknowledge gitu. Yang kedua, emotional safety, jadi sebuah environment di mana orang itu bebas untuk mendeskripsikan emosinya. Jadi nggak ada feeling yang nggak profesional, nggak ada feeling yang tidak boleh di-share, jadi bebas orang itu untuk share emosinya. Dan yang terakhir yang paling penting, psychological safety. Jadi orang bebas membuat kesalahan, mistake. Orang bebas challenge each other ideas, challenge their managers ideas. Nah, si Ala Weinberg ini bilang kalau kita bisa nyediain 3 bentuk safety tadi, akan ada terbentuk trust di culture yang kita bikin, dan in the result ya tadi people can think, collaborate, and innovate. Karena dia premis utamanya dia, kalau orang itu takut maka dia nggak akan pernah bisa think, collaborate, or innovate. Nah, yang gue suka dari buku ini, dia juga ngasih banyak practical contoh praktikal untuk gimana build this kind of culture. Karena buku-buku ngomonginnya sangat abstrak. Oh ya, bikin culture yang A, B, C, tapi nggak ngasih tahu caranya gimana. Nah, gue akan baca mungkin satu chapter kali, chapter 4. Judulnya Shift from Fear to Safety. Jadi gimana berpindah dari budaya ketakutan ke budaya yang berasa aman. Nah, gue baca ya. During the Industrial Revolution, most workers were so poorly educated that Frederick Winston Taylor, author of The Principle of Scientific Management, described the typical laborer as so stupid that the term percentage has no meaning to him. The solution that Taylor proposed, now coined as Taylorism, was to create a case system of thinkers and doers, whereby management did the thinking and workers carry out the doing. At that time, it was certainly an advantage to companies to maximize the productivity and efficiency of their workers because creating more widgets at lower cost was the primary business models. This is why nowadays we say we are doing work, even though much of the work in the knowledge economy is thinking work. Sadly, in the time since the Industrial Revolutions, the caste system set up by Taylorism has persisted. Although people today are far better educated, the distinction between managers and employees is still deeply entrenched. This is evident in the language that organizations use to measure work. Words such as productivity and performance, pointing to the outdated desire to increase the speed and quantity of the work being produced rather than the quality of thought and creativity behind the work. It is no wonder that since the 2000, the score on the US Gallup poll of employee engagements has not risen above 34%. As a result, the vast reservoir of human ingenuity is completely untapped, with fewer than 1 in 10 people reporting that they strongly agree with the statement, "I take risks at my job that could lead to new products or solutions." The primary reasons that the industrial era caste system has endured throughout the last century is because it is rooted in Taylor's belief about people at work. The fear-based belief are the people are lazy, dishonest, and in need of direction. According to research conducted by author Frederick Laloux, the belief that underpin this worldview include people are lazy, leaders need to motivate them with reward or punishments to ensure performance. People work primarily for money. They will do what it takes to make as much money as possible. People are selfish. They will put their own interests ahead of the organizations. People need to be told what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. Leaders need to hold them accountable. Only leaders are capable of making good decisions that affect the economic performance of the company. People do not want to be responsible for their actions or for decisions that affect the economic performance of the company. People are like interchangeable parts in a machine. One person with a set of specific skills is pretty much the same as any other person with the same skill. Feelings and emotions are not professionals and need to be set aside so work can get done. This belief may sound harsh, yet they are the basis for the structures and practices we have in organizations today. They create environments where shame, blame, judgment, and fear are used to control people behaviors and have a direct impact on company results. Let's take a look at some of the most common workplace practices that stem from fear-based belief. A company that uses an employee ranking system, which reward high achiever and punishes underperformance by putting them on a performance improvement plan, holds the belief that people are lazy and leaders need to motivate them with rewards or punishments to ensure performance. Tying bonuses and promotions to output or hours spent at the office support the belief that people work primarily for money and will do what it takes to make as much as money as possible. Hierarchical, hierarchical approval processes for budget spending or experimenting with new ideas are common in many organizations, stemming from the belief that only leaders are capable of making good decisions that affect economic performance of a company. Crying in the office is judged as weak and unprofessional, with many people crying in bathroom stalls or alone in their office. And policies that have the little flexibility about where and when work gets done come from the belief that leaders need to tell people what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. Nah, menarik. Lumayan panjang, tapi menarik banget kan. Banyak banget insight di sana. Summary-nya, pertama dia ngasih tahu bahwa dulu di zaman Industrial Revolution ada satu orang namanya Taylor. Taylor ini yang bikin Taylorism. Jadi gimana caranya membuat perusahaan itu efisien, dan dia membedakan antara thinking and doing. Management doing, ngerjainnya thinking, sedangkan workers-nya ngerjainnya doing. Dan somehow si Taylor ini berpikir bahwa pekerja ini tuh nggak bisa berpikir, mereka tuh nggak pinter, percentage aja nggak tahu, makanya perlu dibikin sebuah sistem di mana bisa ngejagain supaya worker-worker ini bisa bekerja secara efisien. Nah, penulis buku ini bilang, nah cara pikir itu dibawa terus sampai sekarang. Padahal sekarang itu beda banget. Kebanyakan orang tuh juga nggak ngerjain yang hands on. Kebanyakan kita tuh thinking work gitu. Tapi this kind of belief bahwa people itu lazy, people itu stupid, people itu cuma kerja buat money, people are selfish, itu tuh ke bawah terus sampai sekarang. Nah, tadi ada contoh-contohnya gitu, bahwa contoh belief yang dipakai sampai sekarang. Contohnya hanya pemimpin yang bisa membuat keputusan. Terus orang itu lazy. Jadi harus keep dimotivate, dikasih reward. Feeling itu nggak profesional. Nah, terus dia ngasih contoh di bawahnya. Contohnya nih, lihat aja company lu gitu. Dia bilang banyak practice yang stem dari this kind of culture of ketakutan gitu. Contohnya dia bilang apa approval buat budget aja perlu panjang banget gitu. Berarti kan seakan orang itu nggak bisa mengambil keputusan untuk budget gitu sampai harus banyak banget cuman buat minta mouse misalkan, atau menangis di office itu di judge sebagai lemah. Policy nggak punya flexibility tentang di mana harus kerja, kapan harus kerja dari kantor atau di set harus 3 hari di kantor, 2 hari di rumah. Nah, peraturan-peraturan ini seakan menganggap bahwa majority of people cannot think what they need to do to work, dan based on ketakutan gitu. Jadi si Ellie nanti ke depannya dia akan bahas step by step gimana caranya mengubah, shifting this kind of belief to more culture that based in safety, and trik-triknya gimana. So in summary, if you are a design leader, research leader, writer leaders, or people product management leaders, dan lagi mikirin, aduh gimana ya caranya bikin sebuah culture yang ada trust antara anak-anaknya, gitu. Culture yang bisa saling mendukung. Nah, ini salah satu buku yang sangat praktis. Dia benar-benar mendeskripsikan, satu part of culture yang bisa lu tackle adalah hubungan antara orang, which is to provide that kind of the street type of safety to the team that you lead. So yeah, go ahead, read this book. Thank you.